Can you talk us through what's walking through your mind, in this style that you adopted?
Companies are always versed in the reality of their circumstances. So Access Bank was born as a very low-ranking institution in 2002. It started in 1989 in terms of incorporation. It was licensed, I think, in 1991, and it really was trapped in that family bank, trying to find its feet group that was several of the 140 licensed Nigerian bank. But then there were attempts, by their shareholders to change things. So one of the good moves was that it was the first bank in Nigeria to adopt FlexQ. Another good move was that it actually went to the stock exchange, and you could therefore see that it was moving for improved governance, wanted to deal with capital markets and that type of thing. It had actually, I think, taken on Anderson, to do some turnaround. And they had actually recruited some people from GTB at the time to do the turnaround. When we came into Access Bank, we saw all of this, okay? But we were very clear that, look, we wanted to rank with the Zenith and so on. There was an economic renaissance, there was an economic dividend that will accrue to Nigeria, given, one, democracy, two, that it was President Obasanjo and President Obasanjo had this private sector-led growth theory. And we felt that, look, certain transformative things are going to happen. If you're not part of it, you may miss the train will just leave the station and you're not. You need to scale up to near, at least to be nearer the leading banks, okay, such that when the boom, really took place, we could benefit from it, and we will have a situation where the top 5 banks control 70% of the market, and even if we were number 10, we had 1%, okay, which is what has happened. So we, Zenith, GT, and Co had the luxury of playing an organic strategy without having to do acquisitions or combinations. We didn't have that luxury. So it was first, let's get excellent advisors, world-class advisors always, the best lawyers, the best investment bankers, the best taxation accountants, the best accounting and due diligence teams. We also had, we entered into an agreement with Accenture, and we actually created an integration toolkit with Accenture. On the technology side, FlexQ, we just decided to bet on FlexQ, so we also entered into an agreement with FlexQ where we could rapidly deploy a technology integration team and so on. 2005, I had a medical crisis, I had to be flown out of the country. We had to be fit, so we're actually building a gym next door to this building. I think it was at that time that I started, so I always exercise, but then I started to crank up my exercise. So you find that most of the leadership team, and in fact most of the guys and male and female members of staff of Access Bank are reasonably fit. We also have a workforce that's extremely passionate and identifies with the cause that we've set our minds on. Very, very intellectually driven, high energy, high tempo, workforce. And when we set targets, we've created a phenomenal execution ability.
So was it true that you made that move on Union Bank a few years ago?
I'm not sure what move you're alluding to, but I mean, if it's a question of did we have discussions at a point in time with the leadership of Union Bank, just like we had with a number of other banks, by the way, particularly when we saw this whole clearing thing. Yeah, we do.